Hello and welcome. Today we're going to expand on a video that we did earlier that recorded a simple pick and place, and we're going to add the camera to do a camera assisted pick and place. My name is Ray Marquis, Senior Application Engineer at Valent. This is the program we made in the last video, and just picks up the part, but it has to know where the part is. In other words, it has to be in a tray or some other known position, then it's going to go to that position and just go down and pick it up. Whether there's a part there or not doesn't matter. It can't see it or it's not looking for it, and then it's going to place it. And if we just let it go, it's going to go back there, and you won't see it in this video, but it would just go down and then try to pick up a part. So this is the program that we ended up with in the last video. This is the one we're going to modify. We'll just go over it again. You have the start block, which doesn't really do anything. Then you have an initial position to move to just to get the robot out of the way. We'll initialize the gripper, which just opens and closes it. Once it's done, it'll go down, and to this node, we'll move the robot to a position above the part, and then we'll just drop straight down to pick up the part, or to the position where we can pick up the part. Then we'll actually close the gripper to grab it, and then we'll move up to be above the part again, same position as before, and then we'll move over to a drop-off, and then open the gripper. And this line on the bottom here loops back up to the point where we go above the part. So we'll just keep cycling through that as long as there's something to pick up. Now we're going to see how we modify the program to do this vision assisted pickup. We're going to click on the node that says above part. That's where the robot is going to be above the part. Then we're going to click on the X to delete that connection to the next node so that there's no connection between them. Then we're going to go over to the toolbox and grab the vision node, and we're going to drop that there, and it gets connected to the node above automatically, and we're going to finish taking the pass output to the node below so that we can complete the flow. Then we'll click on the pencil to go in and edit. We'll click on vision job, that little arrow there, and when you get here, there will be nothing in here when you do this from scratch, but I hadn't been playing around, so I'm going to delete that job just to start over. So just get rid of that. And then I'm going to add a vision job now. Give it a name, whatever you'd like, with no spaces. Say OK. And that'll bring up the vision tools. And we're going to start not from the very beginning. We've already done a calibration in another video, so you should have that calibration saved, or you should know how to do that already. We're just going to start from the task designer. When I click on that, then I'm going to select fixed point, pull that down, and then here's the calibrations or workspaces that we've done earlier in our previous video. And I'm going to use one that I've already finished. I know it works, and it's that one there. So I'm just going to say load it. So that loads the calibration and some other factors. Now the robot wants to be moved into the position for doing the inspection, which is loaded in that workspace. So I'll hold the plus key on the pendant, and the robot will move, and when it's done, that image will go away, and we'll just be with the live video here. You can tell it's very dark. I can't see anything in there. I'll tell you what we're going to do is go to this initiate block, or initiate block, and double click on that. And the first thing I want to do is scroll down. I want to drag that bar down until I see lighting. And I want to enable the built-in light on the camera. So I'm going to just click on that, and it looks a lot different now because the light came on. It looks pretty good, but we can fool around with some settings to make it a little better. I'm going to move it just kind of a little bit to get it right out from under the center of the light. It's not the perfect position. Then click on the Adjust Parameters button. And here you can adjust the light. If I drag that thing all the way to the right or move it to the right, it's going to get brighter. That's way too bright. If I move it all the way to the left, it's going to get quite dark. You can drag it like that, or you can click on the auto button, and the auto button will try to go out and automatically figure out what the light level should be. It takes a few seconds, so we'll wait for it to complete here. You can talk amongst yourselves. And I don't like the way that looks. I came up with that number 2100 there, 21,000. And I don't like the way it looks because that tip is really bright. So I'm just going to put in about what I think it should be. Maybe maybe leave it there. That's probably good enough for this demo, but you would adjust your lighting to get the best performance. Sometimes the background there, the white, it's not quite white, and you can adjust the white balance by moving these 3 sliders to make it like if it's greenish or reddish, but you can push the auto once on that too. I like to do that without anything in the field of view and a white background. And then it didn't change anything in this case, but I have seen it change things significantly. So put the part back. Just kind of doesn't really, just as long as it's in the field of view. And then we're going to update, but yours might say save here. Mine says update because I'm fooling around with an existing one. So we'll click update or save. And that works out okay. And then we'll go back and go to the next step. The next step is to select this icon, which are the vision tools. Click on that. And we have these 5, the pattern match shape, pattern match image, blob, anchor, and this last one here. We're going to use the pattern match shape, so we'll click on that. And give it a name. We'll call it the USB part, but just to make it a little more fun, sound more exciting, I'm going to add a Y so it becomes a USB party. Helps the vision system work better. Do that. Just kidding. So next we select the pattern that we want to look for, and we're just going to drag it on blocks around the part of the USB that we want to find, the part that's unique. So we'll just catch that tip and a little bit of the body. Go to next, records that, saves it. And this part here, it's kind of hard to read, but it says 100 or approximately 100. And that means that the part matches what you trained it 100%, which is good because it's looking right at the part we just trained. Next thing we're going to do is edit the pattern so that we can fix some of this stuff here. Those little dots are going to mess us up as the part moves around. That detail will get lost, and we don't really need to see it in order to know that that's the part. So I'm going to zoom in. Then I'll pick an eraser size. 40 by 40 is pretty good. And I can either click on something and it'll go away, or I can click and drag over the blue lines. So click, 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 just to make them go away. And then there's some other stuff here, some noise. I don't want this to be something considered when it's finding the pattern. I don't need any of this. It's getting tight in there. I'll change the eraser to something smaller. So you want to kind of clean up your image and get rid of stuff that might not always be there or might be too much detail. So we'll just do that for now. This part looks okay. And then we'll go back and it says, oh, you want to save the updated pattern. I'll say, yes, that's what I want. And then the next thing is to select the range that you want to look for that part in. So we'll click on the search range. And by default, it looks in the whole field of view. That's why it's kind of like that shaded color. But I could just drag a box that says, this is the only place you should look for this part. If it's only going to be in a certain space in the field of view, then that's fine. But I just want to do the whole field of view for this demo. So I'll just drag the box around the whole thing and then say next. And this is where we tell how much we can allow the part to rotate and still be matching the pattern. So we can limit the rotation of the part so that if a part's completely upside down, for instance, maybe we don't find it because it shouldn't be that way. But I'm just going to leave it at, it can rotate 360 degrees. We'll go next. And this is sort of the same thing, only with size. We can allow the pattern, the part to be a little bit bigger or smaller than the pattern and still be a match. But we'll just leave it at, it's got to be the same size. Go next. And then we're done with that part. The next thing I look at is the minimum score. This is how much the found part matches the recorded pattern. So right now it's set at 50%. So it's going to have a 50% match in order to be a found part. If the pattern matching falls below that, it's not going to find it. So you can slide that around to help you keep from finding parts that don't quite match, or to help you find parts that do match, but for some reason help get the score right. Okay, next we're going to go back. We're going to click on the arrow to go back. And that takes us back to this point, and then we're going to save this vision job, basically. So we'll click on that icon for saving. and we'll give it a name, which I just leave it at what I already did, give it a job name. So then confirming that you want to save it. And then, hey, you want to, since you saved it, do you want to quit? So we're done. We'll say yes, and then okay. And then okay to this. The node name will be filled in with the Vision job name automatically. And so there we have it. And you see this little icon to the left there. That's an eye, meaning that this is a vision-based job. The next step is to change the gripper position. So I'm going to drag in the image of the robot so you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to use that free button that we've talked about in previous videos. It's on the camera. It's a button on the side. When I push it, I can move the robot around. I'm just going to move it to the position where I want to grab the part. And if it's not exactly right, after you test it once, you can go back and move it around either with the free button again or going to the controller. So I've got the part like in the right place where I want to grab it once I'm in this grip position. So I need to go train that position now because this one that's here was different. So I'll click on the pencil, go to Point Manager. We have to do this twice. I'll show you why. First one is we want to overwrite this new pose or position to this point in the table. So we'll click on that. And it's going to take us back to here. So we're going to have to go back into the Point Manager. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the coordinates used are based on the vision image that was just done. So I'm going to record it on another base. And you can see that Vision Find USB is one of the bases. So I'm going to click on that and then say, okay, that means that it's going to find the thing, whatever it is, and then adjust its coordinates to move the robot to pick it up the way that we want it to. And you see that it puts this little icon with the eye there. That's the one that says it's using a vision-based positioning. And then everything else is the same. We're just going to go down once we find it. We're going to go down, we're going to grip it, and then go back up, and then go to the drop-off and open the gripper. So one small modification. And here's what it'll look like if we start the program. We're going to bring the robot over. The image of the robot over. And I'll press the play pause button. In the background, you can see TM flow changes, and you'll see something here that we haven't seen yet in any of our examples so far. So it's doing that initial position, testing the gripper. Now it goes and finds the part. You can see we see what the camera took an image of there. So we found the part, picked it up, and it's going to move. So far, nothing special because we were doing that before without even finding the part. But this is where it'll be different. I'm going to grab that thing and just move it. Look at that angle. I changed the angle of it. You'll see that reflected here. And the robot's going down to the part now, that new orientation, and it's going to pick it up and then drop it off again. So not too hard to just add in that vision assisted pickup. Let's try it one more time. I'll flip it the other way. In future videos, I'll show you how to increase the speed and do some other tips for working with TM flow on the robot. But there you can see it found that part, no problem. Picked it up. I'm going to hit the stop button, but I like to do that after it drops off the part so I don't have to pry it from the robot's cold, lifeless fingers. And then we get back to there. That's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. This is Ray Marquis with Valen Corporation. And for now, the robot and I say goodbye.